I'm Lori Hockman, and this is my rant on publicly funded Catholic schools and how I believe that money would be better spent bolstering the education system on reserves. As a Canadian, I feel proud that my government does not push religious agenda onto its citizens. Public schools teach students about various cultural holidays without pressing the religious aspect of them. So why then is the government still funding Catholic schools? I find it appalling that the idea of equality among religions and not discriminating against a people for religious beliefs is a lie when it comes to education. Funding for Catholic schools started in the 1800s when Ontarians were either Protestant or Catholic. And Catholics, being the minority at the time, feared assimilation into the Protestant school system and so provided funding for a separate system. Well, today, Ontario has 35 secular public school boards and 37 Catholic school boards, all of which are funded by Canadian taxpayers regardless of religious affiliation. A study published by oneschoolsystem.org shows that 75% of those who attend Catholic school are not Catholic. So it then could be argued that, because the majority of students attending Catholic schools are secular themselves, the funding is actually not religiously oriented as it's educating non-Catholic Ontarians. Despite this, Catholic views and beliefs are being taught to these students. And whether or not these students take the teachings to heart, they are being made to listen and learn Catholic pedagogy. So if I'm of another faith and the local Catholic school provides a better education than the local public school, why should I also be required to be tested on the religious teachings that are not mine or my family's beliefs in order to receive the best education? According to the Ontario Ministry of Education, the government's total investment, excluding capital for the 2014-2015 school year, was $22.3 billion, with just over 50% of school boards being Catholic and receiving funding. And there have been many arguments around the idea of either pulling funding from Catholic schools, thereby moving them into the private sphere like many other religious schools, or merging the Catholic and public school systems. Well, I have another idea. Why not take the funding earmarked for Catholic schools and give it to reserve schools, where the money is sorely needed and adequate education is severely lacking? In 1997, Ontario developed a funding formula for schools based on enrollment and land tax. Schools with higher enrollment and more desirable areas received more funding. And although the formula has been adjusted over the years, as it stands now in Ontario, for every 763 elementary students, the province will provide funding for, as an example, one teacher librarian. So based on this formula, if enrollment in a reserve school is low, they may be unable to employ a principal or guidance counselor, two figures who are so very important to our education system. Can someone please explain to me how this is equitable? Reserve schools were run by the Catholic Church up until 1996. The Catholic Board was largely responsible for not only the atrocities committed in the residential school system, but also the creation of the residential school system in the first place. So, to start off, one possible solution would be to reallocate the funds from the Catholic school boards to the reserve schools. This is to start the process of reparations and bring education back to those from whom it was taken. Reallocating these funds could be a step towards repairing the damage committed by the Canadian government and the Catholic Church, instead of simply and inadequately offering empty words of apology. We either have to start evening out the funding and truly working on creating an equitable education system in Canada, or we have to stop fooling ourselves and the rest of the world into thinking that we have a progressive, equitable, and inclusive education system. And that is my rant. Thank you very much.